Man United are back, according to all the pundits, Gary Neville, and some guy down at the pub. But we're going to talk about their Carabao Cup victory in a bit and how the Erik the Great era has now begun. You're joining us another episode of One Kick from Glory. I'm back. We're all back. We're here. I'm joined with Matthew,
What's up?
Craig,
Yeah.
and Marcus.
Hello.
And we're going to just get right into that. Now, this is Man United's first trophy since Jose Mourinho was manager, and I believe that's around 6 to 7 year gap. 6 long seasons. You guys have suffered. It's not enough seasons. I think need a few more just to kind of keep the balance going. But I want to start with you, Craig. Looking back on that game, what did you think about Man United's performance in the Carabao Cup final?
They just went for the game and won it. They came with the approach, got the tactics right, did what they needed to do and won the game. Once they scored the first goal, it was just plain sailing from that. They could have scored 3 or 4. Newcastle were very dangerous in the first half though. Maximan was very dangerous. He had a lot of chances to score. Keeper made some good saves. But other from that, after the first goal went in, that was it for them. Their confidence dropped. And the keeper made a mistake for the second goal. The Rashford goal was a mistake.
Well, I think that's a bit harsh. I think
He should have saved it though.
it could have saved it. I think it's an unfortunate deflection, and maybe another day you might say he could have had strong hands. But bearing in mind it's his first game for almost 2 years now, and I think he covered himself well. I just want to switch over to you, Marcus, on the topic of Loris Karius. Obviously, we all know his last appearance at Liverpool and how that all went, and I didn't really want to drag his name up in that regard. But how did you think he did for Liverpool, for Newcastle in his first game back in between the sticks?
Yeah, look, I think you could tell he was rusty. It was always going to be a big ask replacing Nick Pope and filling the shoes that have literally got the best clean sheet record this season. So I always thought that was going to be tough. Yeah, I think he could have done better on the first goal, but all in all, at the end of the day, I wasn't expecting him to pull any miracles out of the hat, and he didn't do that. So yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those games where he did enough, not too spectacular, not terrible, just enough to kind of keep it going. I guess, well, not quite lastly on Man United, we've got another thing to talk about with regards to them. But like I said, it's their first trophy in over 6 or 7 years. Do you think, Matthew, in your opinion, that this is now going to be the catalyst for them to go on to that next level?
It could be. It very well could be. I mean, they soaked up Newcastle's pressure really well in the first 30, 35 minutes, because up until that moment they were still very much in the game. And then Casemiro, he gets in on that goal and just he drives from there, and obviously Rashford, he gives in his 2 cents. They are slowly becoming like more. They're getting closer to the Man United that they want, where they're going ahead, they're challenging for trophies, getting to like finals. They're still very much in the Europa League. They're firmly in the top race for the top 4. They're not contenders for the title. Sorry, they're not. But they're I don't know. It's like they're knocking. It's like a very faint knock on the door, and it's just like you ain't gonna pay attention to them. Like nah. But they got the right coach in the right. They're getting the best out of the main players, like your Rashfords, Casemiro's. Even the players around them are starting to kind of recognise that it's more of a coaching figure, whereas before it felt like more of a ride, like especially with Ollie being at the wheel, then Ralph Ragnick, no real identity, whereas Ten Hag's come in. Also want to make a mention of James Sancho as well. He's slowly coming back to the player that he was when he moved to Dortmund. He moved from Dortmund. He's not there, but he's getting better. If he's able to keep these players fit and if he's able to keep them focused, I think he's very good at keeping them focused and more or less disciplined, then this could be the catalyst for the change that they want. And we could even see a title change, not next year, but maybe even the year after, get back in the Champions League and get back to the ways that they want to be.
So you wouldn't put them down for a title challenge next season?
No.
Really?
I'm not overly. This is funny coming from my team. I have no right to talk about that. But I still think there's an Arsenal Man City shaped hole I still think is just that little bit unbreakable at the moment. Where I still think they've got too many draws in them. I still think they could slip at any moment. You have to remember, half an hour Newcastle had this game. They really did. And you can't really put it on the fact that Pope wasn't in between sticks. They did, but I don't know. Maybe next year, but I think the big one's going to be the year after, just to give him that kind of bit of, allow Ten Hag to get that little bit more room to kind of work with some plays he has, plays he can get, plays he can shift. And you never know. You never know. Plus, with the adage of a Champions League, which they will be in, that's extra pressure on the squad. It's nothing like being in the Europa League. So give him time to balance out the squad over a couple of years. He'll have them right back where they are.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see how they cope with it. For you, Craig, do you think they'll be in a title challenge next season? Obviously, they're not in one right now. Contrary to Gary Neville, they're not in one right now. But do you think they will be up there next year?
Depends on the investment, who they bring in and who they ship out. All depends on the players they bring in the summer. They've got a lot of deadwood in the squad that needs to go. 100% need to go. So if they can get rid of them, and a lot of them on big wages as well, then maybe they could challenge next season. You got obviously they bought Anthony, they bought in like quite they got Anthony, they got Garnacho, they got some good young players in their squad that maybe next season or the season after they'll get better, get used to the league and they'll get improved. So yeah, I still think they need like another striker, another centre back, another centre mid, I would say, and I think maybe a backup goalkeeper. Maybe they could challenge again.
Depends on ownership as well.
Yeah, it depends if they get the owners, they could spend a lot of money in the summer.
Well, allegedly, there was going to be some update by the end of the month. The month has ended. Nothing has come out. So that could be good signs for all of us that they're not going to get bought out by the Qataris. Last 2 points on Manchester United. Obviously, Marcus Rashford's having an incredible season. You know, we've waxed lyrically about him enough on the podcast. I don't think we need to mention him anymore. He's just doing the business now. Do we think, and I'll throw this over to you, Marcus, do you think there's a risk that Man United are over-relying on Rashford, and if the form drops and the goals dry up, then that will be them falling off a cliff again?
No, I actually don't. I don't think that necessarily is going to be a problem. I think it's good for United that Rashford is firing on all cylinders because, of course, they need them goals. But, you know, it is often, you know, if Harry Kane stopped scoring for Tottenham, would Tottenham fall off a cliff? Probably a bit more than Man United would fall off a cliff, all things considered. But, you know, the reality is when you take away the main goal scorer of most teams, they struggle, you know, or they don't have the goals. But, you know, Rashford's been fantastic, but, you know, Man United finally have a core of a team again. De Gea's been brilliant. Varane and Martinez have been exceptionally solid at centre-back between the two of them. Luke Shaw has been one of the best left-backs in the Premier League for some reason. Casemiro is absolutely world-class and is showing everything as to why he's been in the best team in the world for the last however many years. Between Varane and Casemiro, they've brought 10 Champions League trophies to Old Trafford. And, you know, these are players who know how to win. And they've brought that winning mentality with them. And Christian Eriksen, before his injury, was exceptional, you know, giving them a core midfield. And then Bruno looks not necessarily fully back to his old self, but, you know, much better than when Cristiano Ronaldo was in the team, you know, and Rashford's banging in the goals. I think Craig's right. I think Man United need an out-and-out striker, maybe another midfielder. But I think Man U will be in the title race next year.
Should be quite interesting. We'll see whose prediction comes true. I expect Liverpool to be in the title race next season too. I'm not sure about the other team, the team in blue across from me, but we're going to get onto them very, very shortly. Arsenal-Leicester. Got a hard-fought 1-0 win against them. I want to throw this to you, Matthew. It must be a bit frustrating for you to see a team from London that just understands what's required on a football pitch.
Well, anyone that gets a win is frustrating right around the moment. Anyone that can get a result, anyone that can get a performance, anyone that can score, anyone that can defend, anyone that can save, anyone where the fans aren't complaining, anyone where the manager is an idiot, when the board is a bigger idiot with a lot of money, anywhere where the fans have some kind of unity. You see where I'm coming from here, right, guys? This has been going on for a long, long time and I haven't even finished yet. You know, actually, first off, I've got to show a lot of respect for the big man right now. Rest in peace, John Motson. Like, you're a generational voice, man, for football games. So first of all, I've got to say that. But yeah, the writing is on the wall when it comes to watching a team like yours. Like, figuring that was us not long ago. We had the identity, we had the players, we had the solidarity, we had everything literally going in our favour. When we lost, we took it on the chin, we moved on. Craig said earlier how when I think it was Gabriel went down in your game, and the players checking that he's all right. Same thing happened in our game. One of our best players goes down injured and is kicking about like there's no care in the world. You lot are have been, and are the real deal at the moment. You're firmly in the driving seat. Everything's in your control. You're not letting it slip. And even with some mishaps, you still manage to kind of carve out a result. You move on. You grow up. You realise that the damage is done on the pitch. The damage is done on the table. All your players, as we said before, are singing from that one single hymn book, and it's annoying and painful to see for all the efforts that the owner has done, and we're still in literally the same. If anything, we're worse with all that's been done, as of speaking right now. Anyway, so I've got nothing more to say on that apart from that. Really,
no, that's a fair point. I think for you, Craig, when you think about the game, in particular, I'm thinking about Trossard's goal. Brilliant piece of skill. The kind of goal that, it just really helps to kind of re-emphasize why we went and signed him in the first place. But obviously it was disallowed for a foul from Ben White. And I, to be honest with you, I've not seen a lot of decisions like that given in general in terms of like fouls on goalkeepers and all that. Do you feel like what do you think about the whole decision from the referee and from VAR to even call that as a foul? To even take the time to look for that as a foul?
Very soft. It's like VAR don't like Arsenal, They don't like us at all. Like certain games, like Saka should have had a blatant penalty. The guy just took him out, pushed him to the floor, no penalty. I think Trossard had an excellent game on Saturday. He scored a good goal, a legit goal. The team played much more better. They were more functioning better. Martinelli, Saka, and they were all switching positions. It was more fluidity in the front three.
It was a lot like when we would have Jesus back. Like when Jesus would play normally, he kind of had that feel to the front three,
And we had a great game. We could have scored more goals, but we ground out the result and got the 1-0 win. The old school Arsenal way, 1-0 to the Arsenal. So
take it.
You know what I mean? If I have to do that from now to the end of the season, I'll take it. Win ugly, because first half of the season we're scoring goals, but then second half of the season, teams know how to play against us, and they're gonna want to park 11 players behind the ball, so you have to try and break them down. So you're gonna have to do that all the time from now to the end of the season. No one's gonna give us a free run now. We have to. We're the team to beat now, so everyone wants to beat us. So
we have to work for our wins. I think what was really encouraging with this game compared to the Aston Villa game is that we really controlled the pitch, we controlled the match, and we did what we needed to do in the phases of play. I didn't really ever feel like we were at risk of, a defeat. I never felt like. I just felt like we kind of gone back to how we play best. It looked similar to when Jesus was there. Obviously, Trossard isn't the same type of player, but the way he played the role, different to how Nketiah played it, and in fact, it gave Martinelli a lot of the kind of freedom to have those runs in off the wing into the byline, into the box rather, and that's kind of how he got his goal. So that was really promising to see. I just want to hand this over to you, Markus. Obviously, Craig mentioned VAR and how the Ben White decision was very soft. Bukayo Saka's one, they didn't even check it. And then what was really frustrating for me was Dermot McGallagher, the former referee, came out and said, "Oh, actually, it was another mistake. VAR should have reviewed it." Are we getting to the point now where we should just call a spade and accept that the referees in this country are not fit to do the job? Because how many more weeks can you keep making continuous mistakes and then coming out and apologising for it after the fact, where it has no benefit on the result and the outcome?
Yeah, no, it is becoming a bit of a shambles, and it does seem like we're the only country that's still kind of bedding into dealing with VAR 15 years later, right? Like every other country went through their kind of bedding in period, figured it out, and was like, right, this is how we're going to do it. And we just seem to be struggling with that, and obviously the quality of officiating is a bit of a problem. But I know we might get to this a little later, but I looked to the Chelsea game and the VAR decision in the Chelsea game with the referee having to send off the player first to then rescind the decision, even though he didn't want to send him off and didn't think it was a red card, even though he put his hand in someone's face, right? Like, it's just the consistency around these decisions are very confusing to me. And everybody, pundits, commentators, all said that it was the right decision. And then you're like wondering, okay, well, when has football gone from you can now? Well, he was aiming for his shoulder, so because he was aiming for his shoulder, like he should only get a yellow card, even though he punched the guy in the face or slapped the guy in the face. The rules have always been the rules. That if I've seen players being sent off for a slight tap on someone's cheek, because they've put their hand in someone's face, right? Like, but VAR has overcomplicated everything now. We analyze things that we never used to analyze before. I never knew an armpit was able to be offside until Bobby Firmino's armpit was offside against Aston Villa. There's all this kind of evaluation, and it is a bit of a mess. But at the same time, I think one of the things we have to realize is that the Premier League is the international league, and to have controversy every single week means that people are watching and talking about it and doing podcasts about it, and everyone's talking about what's going on. So in terms of the actual interest of the people within this kind of world and reality, it is perfectly fine. But from a footballing perspective, mic the referees up, make them do interviews, hold them accountable. Players will be more respectful. You'll get to better decisions. And when people have to explain themselves, then usually they'll be more thoughtful with the decisions that they make.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because the J League in Japan, they actually have a weekly show, which I think pre to lockdown, they used to do it in person. I think now it's like a mixed Zoom and in person. But what they literally do is they get a referee from the weekend's games, the head of the actual league, and they have one of the commentators from the match. It's like a 4-person panel, and they will literally discuss the decisions that happened in the week's matches. And how they do it is that on social media, if there's like a contentious issue that's been coming up, that's the first thing they will dedicate a whole section to it. And you know what the best thing with that is? It's transparency. If you're a fan, you're watching that, the referee admits they made a mistake. And they don't just admit they made a mistake. They actually try and understand from a process perspective, how can we make that not happen again? There was one game, the one I watched, there was a player who dived in the box to try and win a penalty. Penalty wasn't given. It was given as a yellow card for a dive, which was the correct decision. But what I liked about it is how the referee explained how he made that call. The commentator explained that, you got that call right, in live. And I just like the fact, and even for the chairman or the CEO of the league to be there, it just shows you that everyone's on board. So fans are like, I'll watch the J League now, because I know if something dodgy happens, it won't be like it's going to happen again. We take accountability very seriously. And that might be a cultural thing as well.
Japanese efficiency.
But I also feel like that model, especially for the Premier League, if you want to be prime entertainment, that's what they could easily adapt over there. And you could have, it's no point having Dermot Gallagher and all the other guys they troll out to Pete. Who's the other guy?
Peter Walton.
Peter Walton. We don't need to see you guys during the game to re-referee the game when you were rubbish at your jobs in the first place. Give us a different avenue. If you're going to do that, let's have a review after the weekend's games. Get the referee that was involved in the controversial decision, and you guys have them on in front of the cameras. They like to be centre of attention. Let them sit there and let them explain themselves so that we can all learn together. And it's not about creating like an atmosphere of hounding people out, but it's about having accountability. Last thing I'll say about Arsenal, we're about to go live against, the game's going to start soon against Everton. Unchanged team, the team going to play against Leicester. Just to read out the 11, it's Ramsdale in goal with the back four of White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Xhaka, Jorginho and Odegaard in the midfield 3, and Saka, Martinelli and Trossard up front. And the bench is the same as well. So Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Vieira, Partey, Kivior, Holding, Tomiyasu, Tierney and Matt Head Turner. So that's it really. But that, are you confident? Yep. Expect 3 points? Good. 3-0 when we're expecting. Let's move over to a team that we're expecting to win, to a team that we're hoping can buy a win. Not as desperate as the team after them. But let's talk about Liverpool real quick. Were there any positives for you, Markus, looking at your game against Crystal Palace? Obviously, it was a 0-0 draw at Selhurst Park, which was very surprising to me. But I don't know if that's a credit to Palace or a knock against you guys, but how did you find that game?
Oh, there was one big positive, and that was when the full-time whistle went and I could turn it off and go to bed. It was dreadful. Honestly, biggest waste of my day that I'd had, and maybe one of the worst games I've seen. It was just woeful, absolutely woeful. Created nothing, pedestrian, boring. Like Palace defended and defended well, fair enough, but like it wasn't like Liverpool was battering the door down. It was almost like, do you know them games when the season's over and
Mm,
13th are playing 17th or 16th and neither
Exactly.
team have anything to play for, and it's just like, let's just see this season out, like let's not get injured because we all want to enjoy our summer by the swimming pool. Like it kind of had that feel to it, and it really was quite desperate, to be honest. And you can talk about the hangovers of being hammered by Real Madrid, and Liverpool play Wolves tonight. So we'll see. There needs to be a response. At the end of the day, you know whilst the draw against Palace is not a great result, if Liverpool win today, they still, are 4 games unbeaten in the Premier League with 3 wins and a draw, and are heading in the right direction towards the top 4, in which I kind of get the feeling is going to be like that season where Arsenal and Tottenham and United were all fighting for the top 4, and none of them wanted it. They kept losing every week, and I kind of get the feeling that we're going to kind of have one of them battles for that final spot, where basically it's whoever's the best of the worst is going to finish top 4. So we really do need to get our act together.
Yeah, I think it does kind of have that feel, and that is a bit of a shame. I mean, Craig, for you, do you feel like Liverpool are going to go on this run? I mean, you predicted that you think they can kind of pick it together and start picking up points. Do you see that as a likely outcome, or do you think these little hiccup results are really starting to hamper them?
I remember a couple of seasons ago, Liverpool finished fourth, and I remember Alisson scoring a goal against West Brom, and they finished fourth that season, and they had a bad season. So they're a team that you never want to underestimate and say they can't do it.
Okay, so from a points perspective, they're 9 points behind. So they're Liverpool on 36 points. Tottenham are on 45. They're 9 points behind Tottenham in the
With two
race for top
games in
four
hand,
with 2 games in hand. So again,
and level on points with level on games with Newcastle, 5 points behind Newcastle. So
so
that
that
would
says a
that would
lot.
be maybe more of a balance, about 5 points behind Newcastle.
Well, I feel Liverpool can. As I said before, they can go on a run and get top 4. They can do it. They've done it so many times before, so I wouldn't put it past them. But you have to start getting results now.
Yeah.
You got to start picking up some points now, because Crystal Palace, you could have lost that game. They had 2 headers towards the end of the game. Guay missed the header and it almost went in, and they missed a couple of chances. It could have been another. It could have been a 1-0 to them or 2-0. But Crystal Palace haven't been really doing well with finishing the season. They create a lot of chances, but not really taking their chances. So that's a game that you just take the point and go back and recoup and try and win the next match.
Yeah, so there's a bit of time before Liverpool game kicks off. But yeah, I think there's definitely an opportunity there for them to do something tonight against Wolves. I think it's a big game. So just to go for Liverpool 11, they've got Alisson in goal. Back four of, almost the ideal back four. So Trent, Alexander-Arnold, Konate, Van Dijk and Shimikas. Midfield 3 of Harvey Elliott, Fabinho and Basic. And then the front 3 of Salah, Nunez and Jota. So quite a few changes there. I think a few players, Elliott, Jota and Shimikas and Konate, I think he would want to show the fans what they've missed and show people that they're here for stuff. So yeah, I think that could be quite interesting. Moving on to the Blues. It really is the Blues. You,
What are you
you,
talking-
you guys are living by your a nickname. You guys are terrible. But just for you, Matthew. Obviously, it's a terrible time right now. I know there's a lot of talk. I think state a quote from the board that they're sort of looking at Potter. I don't know if it's attributed to the board, but it's been referred to. They're looking at how Arteta had his time with Arsenal, and they're kind of using that as encouragement for Potter. That question was put to Arteta, and paraphrasing his answer, he said that, well, he knew at the time at Arsenal that it was all about winning the next 3 games, because obviously that was like a season we went all or nothing season to last season. The first 3 games of the season we lost. And it was just looked like it was going to be a terrible, terrible year. And then we got 3 wins and a bounce. And so the big question is now, like the next 3 games are going to be season defining for Graham Potter. For you, do you think he will be able to kickstart your season, or do you feel like it is done now and he needs to just?
It was done for the last 3 weeks. It's been done for the last 3 weeks. I've tried with him. I've been patient with him, and I was trying to see what he was trying to go for, and give him a chance to see a more sustainable model. Maybe like, all right, we don't do it this year, but we'll still remain competitive around that European barrier, which is our normal standard, and we'll build up for next year. And it's all gone wrong within what was supposed to happen in 3 years is probably happened in 3 weeks. Like, it's gone wrong from start to finish. 1 win in about 16 games. We scored, I think, probably 1 or 2 goals in the entire February. João Felix got a goal of the month for his goal against West Ham. That's all we did. We're conceding left, right, and centre. All these teams don't have to do anything to play against us apart from turn up and just wait. Look, this is how you play Chelsea, right? You turn up, 30 minutes, that's it. We're a 30-minute team. Because as soon as that 30-minute mark goes, we're done. That's how we lost against Leeds. That's how we lost against Southampton. That's how we lost against Spurs. That's how we did it against West Ham. It happened against Dortmund. We just can't maintain a steady charge for the games. Like, we just down tools. And it goes even well if you score against us. When you score against us, we're definitely not going to come back. We saw that against Spurs. And the funny thing with Spurs is that we didn't even play that bad. We defended quite well. As soon as that first goal, Oliver Skip, another one to get his first goal against us on the turn. Good goal, but again, on the turn, we keep giving these things that we keep giving things that players don't need. Remember how we gave it to you, to Martinelli? On the turn, Kante slips, give him the first goal, all that kind of thing. And that's another thing. A majority of our goals happen on transition. Always on the flip. That's how Dortmund happened. That's how West Ham happened. And it's just been a calamitous state of events from weeks and weeks and weeks of just absolute disaster with a squad that doesn't deserve to be where it is, getting the results that we're not getting. Look at and it affects the players. It really does affect the players. Look at this, the Southampton game, which was disgusting, by the way. One of our worst games out of many this season. Who gives a foul? Dave, I hope you're all right after that injury, but who gives a foul to Ward-Prowse outside the box? Who gives a foul? Because we all know what's going to happen. He's going to bury it. His record's on with Beckham. And it's the decisions, the substitutions, for lack of a striker. He loves playing Mount and Havertz, even though they don't do nothing for the team. Havertz has a good game for 45 minutes against Southampton. All right, I'll start him for the next game. Didn't work. It's just so many things. Again, we want to try and get behind this guy, but he doesn't help himself with some of the things that he does. Why? And, why are you not playing a striker? You got 2 of them there. Why not play them? And if they don't score, that's off your back. That's the strikers not doing their job. Okay? It's like this. Respectfully, with this club, he's working with a lot of players that have done more than him. No disrespect, it's just a fact. When it comes to success, when it comes to being around in Europe, when it comes around to profile, I'm getting there. There's a lot of thing going on in this squad that I don't think he's able to contend with. So, as much as I want to try and get back him and not be part of his sacking culture, it's not working.
It's in your DNA, though. You can't say you don't want to be part of the sacking culture. It's literally the DNA of Chelsea.
It is the DNA. It is, but the board aren't doing them more, especially if it doesn't win on Saturday. I don't care about the Dortmund game. We've lost that one anyway. I don't care about Europe. I care about the league right now. We still got at least 12 points to get to kind of claim survival. So
it's that bad, yeah.
It's not we're not in a relegation battle, but we're in relegation form. Spend a buttload of money. Check. 1 win in how many? Check. Losing all the other games and conceding all these goals. Check. 23 scored. No, 23 scored against 25, which is mental.
I know you said you're not in a relegation battle. Bournemouth are 10 points behind you. They're in 19th. That sounds like a lot, but at the rate you're going, it's not that much. That's 4 games. Yeah, you could be right in the mix.
And then all we got to do is lose those 4.
Just saying.
That's all we've got to do.
Yeah, I think you mentioned about the structure. I feel that's just down to the manager, really. If you keep getting attacked on in transition, that's down to the manager. Craig, when you think about the Chelsea situation, because to me, listening to you speak about it, all I've got in my head is just the Unai Emery Arsenal saga, in that a manager came in that just wasn't the right fit. And I think with Potter, it's not that he's not a good manager. I just don't think he's the right fit for your club, for the culture, for the expectation of the fans. I just think he's just not the right fit. How do you think about him?
Small fish in a big pond. No, on all seriousness, Chelsea just mismanaged money in the summer and in the January window. Bought too many players, didn't ship out enough players. Manager just doesn't know the right team. Don't have a focal striker. Not scoring goals, conceding sloppy goals. You don't know your best 11. Kante's been out for almost the whole season with injury. You sold Jorginho.
What's that got? That's
Well, let me just say what. Let me just land. Well, you bought all these new players. It didn't you haven't got a recognised striker in the Champions League. Aubameyang's under-registered for the Champions League. Modric hasn't done it yet. Still give him time, I would say.
He ain't getting played.
Hasn't been played either, but when he has been playing, he hasn't really shown enough for all that money he spent on him. Mount has dropped off a lot this season.
Cliff.
Havertz's form is very
Crap.
He's still living off that Champions League winner.
I mean, I think we can say with Havertz, I don't think he's justified the price tag. I think, putting this season to aside, I think in the years he's been at Chelsea, I just don't think he's justified the money you paid for him. Yeah, he scored a winner in Champions League final, but he really, for the player, the position he plays in, and the expectations that are on him, I think he's fallen short.
Do you think another manager could get the best out of him though? A good elite manager could get the best out of him.
I think there's many of the managers in the Premier League right now that could get a better tune out of Chelsea. I think just Potter's just, unfortunately, he's been burdened by a squad or a lot of players he didn't really want. You know, Ziyech, again, they tried to get rid of, and yet he's playing games all the time, which makes no sense to me. Aubameyang's still there, you don't want him. Your owners, while at the time it looked like it was clever football, look at all these players Chelsea buying, all that, they've won the Champions, they've won the transfer market. But the reality is you've now got an unbalanced squad and dressing room. I mean, look at the I think there's a reaction I saw from Aspilicueta after one of your games. I looked at his face and I just thought, he knows the coach is done.
He's been there long enough to know.
But you just know when you just know, and I just think that was kind of the thing. So,
but Chelsea got 31 players on their books in the squad right now. How do you deal with all the 31 players? Different egos,
different things. And who are the ones that sing from the Potter book? Who are the ones that are actually looking at this guy thinking you could do something? We don't know who you are because we don't know who the best team is. I couldn't even tell you what the best team is because they're not necessarily doing it on the pitch. We've lost probably our best player for how long in Silva. Reece James was just come back, but we're putting him around in cotton wool. Our best goalkeeper at the moment is flagging. We're getting back Kepa flashbacks of 2020. You know, Mudryk ain't getting it. Aubameyang ain't getting it. All of our strikers does well against Southampton, and he takes him off. With 2-0 down against Spurs, he puts the striker on at 83 minutes. I just think it's like I do in a weird way. I know ill will against him. He's not so. I really wanted him to do well, but he's just not his kind of. I think, no disrespect to him, I think Bowley wanted someone that wasn't going to argue too much. And I think I've said this before. I think he wanted someone where they're going to be less of a challenge.
Yeah, he wanted the yes man.
He wanted the yes man. Tuchel wouldn't have it. Mourinho wouldn't have it. No one, not any of the previous managers. 90% of the previous managers would have sat there and just let him write a checkbook and be like, go and have him unchecked. Have it unchallenged to be like, this is not going to work. Because even in the past, those managers were given something when they wanted someone else. So why did he think, I don't know how much involvement he has, why did he think it was going to work any different with him? So, you know, we got Leeds, we got Dortmund, and I can't remember who we have after that because the Formula 1 season's back, so I don't really care anymore. Bahrain this Sunday, whoop whoop. So Leeds are in a bit of a funk at the moment, not like we are as well. Something's got to come from that. If not a win, then some kind of confidence-boosting performance, a statement to say that we're leaving it all hang out on the pitch. We're going to try and claw back, get 12 to 15 points, and let's see what kind of thing that we can get, and then we'll completely paste over what has been
No,
joke of a
You
season.
can't paste over those cracks. This season's been
We
rubbish.
can try.
No, there's no trying.
Big.
Not happening.
It's a big roller. It's a big roller in paint, so you know.
I mean, the only way you can paste over these cracks if you call up Ivan Toney and take all the charges he's been getting for betting, and that will fill up the gaps. Obviously, he's pled guilty to the charges leveled at him by the FA, so we'll find out what the implications of that will be. Which is a bit of a shame because I'm hoping he doesn't have a lengthy ban. Obviously, the last players that got some situation, Trippier got a 13-month ban or 18-month ban that was then cut down to 13 for some when he gave some hints about his transfer to Atletico Madrid. The other player was obviously Daniel Sturridge, and he hasn't got a club anymore, so he's effectively retired. And then there was one other player as well, Joey Barton.
Yeah,
he was banned for 10 months.
His was 13 months. Trippier's was 10 weeks.
There we go. So it's just and the thing with Tony is like he's having an amazing season numbers wise. So the risk is that this might like literally end his England career hopes and just dent what's been a great run for Brentford. But we'll end the podcast on a nice lighter note after having some interesting topics this night and hearing about Chelsea's woes. And to be frank, good luck. You lot need it. I care. Just
on Chelsea's woes there. Before you end the podcast, I just wanted to say that I actually think, unlike the obvious Chelsea perspective that you would get, I actually think it's Graham Potter who I feel sorry for in this situation, not Chelsea. Chelsea are a big international club that have always played the same way. They're this big culture club that fire managers when they're not getting results, expect this kind of instant success. And they sold Graham Potter a story of how they were going to hire him. They give him a long contract. They wanted to change the culture. They was bringing in young English players and that he was going to have this long time to build the club. And within a couple of months, are fed up of him because they're not getting results and want to fire him. And I actually think that the problem is not Graham Potter. The problem is Chelsea. Give Graham Potter time. He will do a job at Chelsea over time. He's a very, very established manager when given the time at clubs to do the thing that he wants to do. And he had Brighton in the top 4 before he left Brighton for Chelsea. He took a step down to go to Chelsea in terms of league position at that particular time. He took a step down to go to Chelsea, and in my opinion, I think Chelsea should just stick to what they do. Hire Ancelotti, hire Zidane, hire big name managers that can handle big egos, because Chelsea always have big egos, and then players always run the club and always run the dressing room. It's always the way it's been at Chelsea. That's never changed. It's been that way for years. And this ludicrous idea that an American can come in and change the culture of a football club by throwing money at it overnight, it is not going to happen. And if that's Bowley's delusion, that's fine. He can have his delusion. But Chelsea are the way they are. And I think the only mistake Potter made was buying into the fact that Chelsea was going to give him any time to establish his success there. Because if Graham Potter leaves Chelsea and goes to any other club that would give him time, for example, if we hired Graham Potter at the end of the season, Graham Potter would do a job at a top club like Liverpool that was willing to give him time, because he's a very, very good coach.
Would you do it?
I'd take him. Obviously, Klopp is my number one candidate to take the club forward, still. But if it came to the end of the season and Klopp isn't at Liverpool and Graham Potter was available, I'd take him.
I can actually see that working. I mean, even if Potter came in and had like a Rodgers like transitional boost for you in that, like, but obviously you've got better players, so if he did take you to challenging, you'd actually win it, not fall apart. Like that positive Rodgers. I called him Rotter. Anyway, just the last things for tonight. Obviously, the FIFA World Player of the Year awards was happened last night. And there were some interesting decisions in the team. What I find interesting, goalkeeper of the year, Emi Martinez. But yet the FIFPRO World 11 goalkeeper, Thibaut Courtois. And of course, the big controversy for many people is the player who won Player of the Year, which was obviously Lionel Messi. Makes sense for the narrative of football. But Karim Benzema, you'd argue, had you could argue had a better season, it'd be a great argument. For you, Craig, do you think it was right for Messi to win World Player of the Year? Or do you think it should have gone to Big Ben's? They're both in the 11 for the year, but it's just that one decision that was just a bit questionable.
Well, Messi's club form last season wasn't that great.
It was non-existent.
He didn't get PSG to the Champions League final. Benzema did it. Benzema single-handedly, he was just like, boys. Every game he played in the Champions League last season, he was scoring goals, crucial goals. Then he scored against Chelsea.
He did. Twice.
Scored against PSG. He scored in the final against Liverpool.
No, he had an offside.
But he was just clutch every game. Every big game in that last season, he was a big impact. So I know Messi had a great World Cup, but if you really compare it, like Benzema was in better form all season. Maybe they gave it to Messi because, as you said, narrative. But I think Benzema got robbed.
Yeah, I mean, Messi's probably going to get the Ballon d'Or anyway, so he didn't need to get both of them. I think that was just a bit of a strange one.
What do you think, Marcus?
I think football's all about storylines, and when Messi won the World Cup, Messi was going to win them trophies. Like I know Benzema had a great season, and 27 goals, 12 assists, 32 games, won the Champions League. And obviously Vinny Jr. scored the winning goal, but Benzema was instrumental. In that campaign. I know PSG didn't do as well, but Messi was still averaging goal and an assist a game, goal and assist a game for the season. It's over the year. I understand why people feel like Benzema's been robbed, but I don't feel like it's as egregious as, for example, cancelling the Ballon d'Or and not giving it to Lewandowski. Something like that. I think that was egregious. I think, and it's a decision, and at the end of the day, it was voted on by the peers, and different people, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's not like they're giving the Ballon d'Or to someone who doesn't deserve it. I think Messi, or this FIFA award to someone that doesn't deserve it, but I think you can make the case for either of them, even one or two. I'd have gone Benzema.
Do you feel that if Benzema played in the World Cup and had a great World Cup and scored in the final against Argentina, do you think he would have won it?
Yeah, no doubt. I think if Messi hadn't have won the World Cup, it wouldn't have even needed Benzema to have a great World Cup. I just think if Messi hadn't have won the World Cup, Benzema probably would have won that. But at the end of the day, I think that's kind of how it is in football, and Messi's on his way out, and I think they'll try to give him everything they can, on that journey out to make the storyline that it is. And it's not like he's playing in Saudi Arabia scoring 4 goals and taking 400 grand a week, is it? He's still playing in France. He won the World Cup he's still at the highest level of his game. At the age he's at now, he's still performing fantastically. And who knows? Maybe Clive will still get his dream of PSG winning the Champions League this year as well.
They need to step up that second leg. But hey, as we say, that's some great shots fired right there. Dunking on your head top in the desert. Man, he's playing football where Tommy Fury won a boxing match against a glorified YouTuber.
Let that sink in, man.
Let that sink in.
But yeah, I think that's sort of where we'll call it a night. Games are still ongoing, still 0-0. So come on, the Arsenal. Jorginho's having a stinker, but anyway, we'll talk about it next week. And let us know your thoughts. Do you think Potter will turn it around, or should he be fired? Should he be Wingardium Expelliarmus?
Never heard that one before.
Spell, but anyway, maybe Alakazam and just disappeared out of the place. Or will he turn it? Will he be a magic man? Will he turn it around? And we'll hear from you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.